Hi and welcome to episode 53 of the This is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This is Reportage and This is Reportage family, and I'm a photographer too. Such a pleasure to chat to the great Sophie Callewaert today. Sophie is one of Belgium's best wedding photographers with 9 Reportage Awards and 2 Story Awards under her belt, and though I've only met her once very briefly, she's a lovely person and just really lovely to talk to. Tune in today as Sophie talks about growing up in her family's restaurant, personal projects, living a curious life, authenticity, what makes a good wedding photographer, day in the life family sessions, driving from Belgium to Ireland for Doc Day, and much, much more. Hey Sophie, how you doing?
Hey Alan, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. How's things with you? 'Cause you're in Belgium, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Belgium. I'm in Ghent. Have you ever been here?
I haven't. I've never been to Belgium at all. I really need to go. Know what's it like?
Ghent is beautiful. I live about 10 minutes out of the city, so I can ride my bike. I'm there in 10 minutes. I'm also close to nature, so it's like a bit of best of both worlds.
That's nice.
Right now, Ghent's a little bit quiet, obviously, because of Corona, but usually it's very cultural, artistic, like young, vibrant city. And it's not too big, so it's like it's also very cozy, and you can still run into people, everywhere. So
No, that sounds nice.
yeah,
No,
I love living here.
I need to get over. Have you always lived there? Oh, I know, because I read that you live in a little village or something. You grew up in your parents' restaurant, is that right?
Yeah. I grew up in Damme, which is about 45 minutes from here, and always went to school in Bruges. But I grew up in a restaurant. Yeah, my parents, my brother's actually 4th generation of the restaurant, so it's been around for, I guess, like 120 years now.
Wow, really? Wow.
Yeah. It's a very typical Flemish restaurant. Eel and cream sauce, like very typical Flemish meals. Yeah.
What was it like growing up in a restaurant then? What was your childhood like? What was it like?
Interesting. We so our rooms were basically on top of the restaurant. So you grow up with a lot of there's a lot of noise, and which is fine. I'm kind of used to that. I sleep anywhere.
Oh really? Are you? That's a good skill to have.
Yeah, I can sleep anywhere. But yeah, I used to go to bed and hear people singing "Happy Birthday" under the floorboards, and like just the constant chitter chatter of the restaurant, and just always being around people all the time. There's always like 40 people in my home.
I wonder if it's had a part to play then in you, in doing your wedding photography specifically, and being around those kind of big meals and big parties all the time. You must be quite used to it as a kid.
Yeah, it feels very what's the word? It feels like coming home sometimes. It's definitely. And also there's so many stories, there's especially because it's such a family oriented restaurant. There's and it's 4th generation, which means that a lot of the people who come and eat, a lot of the clients are also like 4th generation, and they used to come with their grandparents, and they come 3 times a week. And, you really get to know a lot of the people, a lot of the regulars. So there's so many little stories all over the place. So I definitely think that influenced me being a photographer. I remember my mom had a little handy cam that I used to grab anytime I could, and I would go into the restaurant and like interview the people and interview the chefs, and I would go and collect all the little stories from a pretty young age. So I definitely think I had a huge influence. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's like you were doing like a personal project when you were a kid then, almost. That's really cool.
I mean, if you were to see it, I don't think it would be much of a personal project, but it was fun. It was fun, a fun thing to do as a kid. And you had to make your own fun, I guess. So
you must have eaten well as a kid.
Yeah. We have this really big fridge, so I would just go in every day and just be like, do what am I going to eat today? And walking past the guy making the pancakes, I remember eating. I must have eaten like 4 or 5 pancakes every single day.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds great. It's so interesting, that fourth generation, and as you say, like a lot of the patrons being fourth generation as well. It sounds like something you could make a film out of, really, or something. It's cool.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I did a little project about my brother, who's like a unique personality, I find. And doing it in a different way than my dad or my grandfather or my great grandfather. Just a very, I think he's an interesting person. And I did a little photo project.
Oh,
So
good.
I am taking a lot of pictures at the restaurant still. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. And have you done many kind of personal projects in the past? Because I've never really done one. Do you recommend them? Are they good? They must be good, I guess.
Yeah, they're great. I think that, and especially now that there's not so much work, I think it's been a lifesaver actually, like for keeping my sanity, like being able to go out and do some personal projects. It's hard to motivate yourself sometimes though, because you're so used to having holding you accountable. Like you have a deadline and you have to get people's pictures to them by the end of the week or whatever. But like with personal projects, it's you really have to find that like intrinsic motivation and go out and do it.
That's true, actually, isn't it? Yeah. How do you self-motivate that way? That is something I never really think about that. But as a photographer, it's a big deal, really, isn't it? In these times, especially that self-motivation. Yeah. How do you self-motivate yourself? Do you think having these personal projects really is a big kind of push for that then?
Yeah, it's difficult. I struggle with that. I tend to come up with a lot of ideas, and I have like this whole little book that I filled with like ideas. Oh, I want to do something about that. Maybe I can do something about that. And then it's hard for me to get out of the idea phase and into the doing. So I make the what's the word, the threshold like a little bit smaller. I am.
Oh yeah.
For example, I'm doing a project on, I have a park right in front of my door, and it's just like this really interesting place where all kinds of different walks of life come together. And you have the social housing across the street, and then you have like the really left-wing yuppie people living in the street. You have the really old people who've been living here for 60 years. There's this huge lizard that comes into the park once in a while, like a huge dinosaur type lizard. There's a guy who only wears skirts because he likes the wind on his legs, and like there's so many interesting characters. So that's and cool. just having to step out of the door to go and document that helps. That it's just outside. I don't have to go far.
On your doorstep. That does sound cool. Yeah. And then do you have, with these kind of projects, do you have like an end goal in mind? Is it like, do you just collect a lot of images, for yourself to show in a blog post, or do you put them into books, or would you like to, get them in galleries and things? Do you have like an aim for them, or is it just more of a kind of personal kind of thing?
I find that if I think too much about what my actual aim is with them, that I don't end up doing it. Like that's just an extra fear that you put onto yourself. So for now, it's just going out and doing them. And I notice how it helps me in my commercial work too. And it helps me see the world a little bit differently. And I can practice things very freely. Yeah.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah, not to have that kind of extra pressure on you as well, and you can just go out and enjoy it. That's cool.
I think if anything ever, if I ever really do finish a project and it feels finished, and maybe I can do something else with it. But at this point, I'm just having fun with going out and actually shooting, and it's really just for personal development, I think, mostly. and wanting to tell a story. I also started, I'm doing the Kirsten Lewis's year-long mentoring right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's really pushing me to have work to show every month. Like it's really accountable to actually go out and do it. So that has been a massive push in the last couple of months.
Oh, that's cool. Great to have that. Definitely. Because, yeah, I mean, how has, we can't not talk about it in some sense. How has it been for you, this year? What's, obviously for me, it's been awful. I won't beat around the bush, and my mood has been like a roller coaster. I've been up and down, which is really strange for me because I'm normally very kind of on a level, and happy, but I've found it, tough at times this year. So yeah, I was just wondering, how has it been for you?
Are you not able to shoot any weddings anymore?
I've only shot 2 weddings this whole year, so I would normally have shot about 25 to 30 by now. So it's a big difference. Yeah. What about you? Yeah,
same. I think I had about maybe 4 or 5 like civil weddings, but those are only an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, so it doesn't really feel like a full wedding. And then I had 1 wedding that was 8 hours. And that was a couple weeks ago, which felt really, really nice to be able to do that again. But I have been shooting a lot more day in the lives this summer though. So
that's cool.
That has helped me massively. Yeah, I've had a lot more of those. I think people are spending they are spending a lot more time with their family and maybe realizing the importance of those moments and wanting to invest more in that. Yeah,
definitely. That's really cool. And the day in the life especially is something, how did you get your first day in the life session? Because I think a lot of family photographers are really interested in doing that, but maybe they don't have one to show potential clients yet. So they don't really know how to get their first session. How did you get your first one?
What was my first one? I can't remember, but I do remember I did mentoring with Joshua Dumps.
Oh, cool.
Like 5 years ago, maybe, or 4 years ago. And one of the assignments was she told me to book 10 day in the lives and do them like really cheaply. And so that was how I was able to build my portfolio.
That makes sense.
From there, it just kind of rolled on.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you enjoy doing that? Do you prefer doing the day in the lives rather than like kind of short family shoots, or what's your preference?
Oh yeah, for sure. Sometimes I have a 10-hour day in the life.
Wow, like 10 days would be hardcore, wouldn't it?
Pretty insane. No, 10-hour. So I have like I'm photographing the family from when they wake up until they go to bed, and that's really nice. It's those are really interesting, but I don't have a lot of those. I only have about 3 per year or so of those. Most of the people book me for 4 hours, so half a day.
Okay, that's still a good amount of time though to capture a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's the minimum. I have the shorter versions, but they never, I never get the same result from those ones.
Okay, yeah. And those day in the life specifically then, do you just turn up at their house and you just want them to have a normal day, or do clients kind of generally plan something special for that day, or is it a mix?
No, they don't plan anything special, but I do sometimes notice that they are like shoving as much as they can into one day, which is, I get it. Like there's a photographer coming, we have to make it special, but I always tell them to just have a simple, like boring day, like, because the best moments are generally the ones where people are just kind of hanging in the living room and just hanging out together, and I don't know. I find that those are mostly the best moments. And when they want to go out and actually do all these things, like go for long walks, or I don't know, go to an amusement park or whatever, it's I don't know. It's not. They're not really moments. It's more you're capturing actions, and actions aren't necessarily the things people want to remember.
That's a good, yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. And do you find then your clients, do they just ignore you? I mean, and so you can capture those natural moments, or do you find that they're kind of like looking at the camera and things and kind of like semi-posing or anything? I guess a lot is about client expectations and letting them know that it's
Yeah.
going to be very natural beforehand.
Yeah, that's super important. I always have a phone call with them beforehand, and I assure them that just pretend I'm invisible, and really don't you don't have to bother worrying about me at all day. So when I get there, usually it's the dads are sometimes a little bit more like skeptical to having a camera being pointed at their face all day. So it's mostly the moms that book me.
Okay.
And it takes mostly like half an hour or an hour before they're totally at ease. And then you can notice like their shields kind of falling off, and yeah. And if you come in and you just have a cup of coffee with them, and I don't know, you make it really normal, and as long as it's like for the dads, when they notice that there's no expectations, when they really realize there's no expectations from them, then they kind of loosen up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say how it's mostly the moms who book you. I've not done many family shoots yet. I've done some, but as you say, it's virtually always been the mom who has. Do you think? I don't know. It sounds like a kind of stereotypical thing, isn't it? That the moms are more interested in the kind of family photography. But I guess it has been my experience as well, really.
Well, it's not always the moms. I book. It depends. Sometimes if the dad's a photographer, that helps.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Haven't you shot? Did you do a day in the life for Eve Sieppers? Did you?
Yeah. That was right before Corona hit. I was able to go with him and his family to Lanzarote.
Oh wow, that's a good gig.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, I had so much fun. I loved being able to. Yeah, it was a real privilege being able to shoot that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's super cool. Do you feel extra pressure when you shoot for another photographer or not?
Well, yeah, and especially Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, scary. But that's awesome doing it in Lanzarote as well. Did you have nice weather?
Yeah, beautiful weather. Yeah. I was a little bit worried because it was. So he has one daughter, and I don't know, how old was she at that time? 3. So I was a little bit worried, like, 10 hours with just one 3-year-old. What's that going to be like? Because there's not a whole bunch of like sometimes when there's like 3 kids, there's a lot of chaos, and chaos is good for photos, right? Yeah. I was wondering if one kid am I going to be able to tell a story consistently for 10 hours? But yeah, it was great. It was really, really great. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. And did he like the photos?
Well, he told me he did. You'll have to ask him.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure they're awesome. Do you know, it's interesting because I did my first family shoot in a long time, just 2 days ago, and it was only a 1.5 hour shoot, but I shot 2,700 frames in an hour and 40 minutes. How much do you shoot in like a 10-hour day in the life session?
Maybe 8,000 or 9,000.
Really? Wow. Yeah. So it's like a wedding then. It's like a wedding.
Yeah. I do notice, like, for the longer day, I'll shoot like 7,000 for 4 hours for the 4-hour day in the lives. But then for the 10-hour day in the lives, I'm not shooting that much more. It's like maybe 8,000 or 9,000, but you're taking you're taking more breaks and just observing them a little bit more. I find with the day in the lives, more than weddings, you're really trying to understand like the relationship between everyone involved. Like what's the father-daughter relationship? What's the mother-son relationship? What's the couple like, and you're talking a lot. Or listening mostly. You're having conversations with them in between and getting to know the family, because you really want to be able to capture them as close to who they are as possible. And in a wedding, there's so many different characters. There's so many different people. that's a little bit more difficult. But in a day in the life, there's 4, 5, 6 people, and you can really tell a more personal story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way you're talking about it. It makes me really excited to get to go out and do one. Actually,
You should. Yeah, you'll love it.
Cool, Sophie. This is awesome. Let's change tack slightly. Then. Okay. If you won the lottery, Sophie, do you have a lottery in Belgium?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you won it, what would you spend it on? And would you still be a photographer if you were a millionaire?
Oof. God. Oh, this is one of those long pauses that you're gonna have to cut.
It's a random question, isn't it? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be doing that much different than what I'm doing right now. I think I'd be doing a lot more personal work. I'd be spending more time abroad email and like really immersing myself in a story and being able to like really take that time and go on more adventures that way maybe.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and I do not as many weddings, so instead of 20 maybe I do like 5 a year. And really the day in the lives that really light me up, just like only accepting the work that really lights you up and then doing a lot of personal work, I think is pretty much what I'd be doing.
Oh, that's cool. A good way to live as well. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's cool that you're a destination family photographer as well as weddings, though. I know quite a few people go abroad for weddings, but I think it must be quite a lot rarer to go abroad for a family shoot. So that's very cool.
Does that make me a destination family photographer?
I think it does. Yeah.
Ooh, I should change it on my website then. Yeah.
You should put that on. I've never even heard that term. I don't know if that's people use that as a term, but it's cool. Okay, Sophie, as well. Before we go back to photography, what is? Do you watch much Netflix or Prime or anything? Streaming TV.
Not a whole lot. The last couple months, I haven't been watching a lot of TV. I'm thinking, there were some good Netflix shows that I saw recently. Have you seen Love on the Spectrum?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes.
Oh, it's so good, right?
It was amazing, wasn't it? Oh man, I got so emotional watching that. I
love that one guy. What was his name? Michael?
Oh, yes, Mike. Yeah. I wonder what he's doing now. I loved him. Amazing. I really hope they do another season of that.
I know it was done so fast. There were only like 5 episodes. It was really sad. But
they did it.
This guy that you want to have a long conversation with.
Yeah, definitely. And they did it, I think, in such a respectful. Yeah. It wasn't exploitative at all. I think it was absolutely beautiful. It really was. And
you learn so much. You just learn so much about how how they think and how they go through life, and you realize the struggle. Like they're.
Oh yeah.
So it must be so hard for them.
Totally. Oh, I love that you said that. I just think it's one of the best Netflix series ever. Yeah, I loved it. Similar to that as well, there's because one of the persons in the documentary is autistic. Have you seen Speed Cubers, about the kids who do the Rubik's Cube is in like 6 seconds?
No, is that on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, it's only about 50 minutes, a one-off documentary, but it's so good. It's beautiful again, like Love on the Spectrum as well. Yeah.
And is it also autistic people?
It's just one of the world champion. He's autistic. And it's about his kind of relationship with the other challenger who's not autistic, but they get really close, and it's just so lovely. Honestly, it's awesome.
Thanks for the recommendation. I'll check that out. Yeah.
Oh no, that's cool. That's great. I love that you watched Love on the Spectrum. My wife actually as well. She is a speech therapist and specializes in diagnosing autism. So I just find that really interesting. Okay. I love that I think we do an important job with photographing either families or weddings. But my wife's out there. I think they're really making a difference to these kids and stuff. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever think about what we do as a kind of a meaningful job? And Oh, I do. I just have like thoughts about that all the time, you know.
Really? And then you're wondering, do you wonder if it's meaningful enough?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, I think what we do is super important. It is. But then I see someone like my wife who's literally changing the lives of children. And I'm like, I feel like I should be doing more, you know? It's a weird
Yeah.
thing.
I think it's with our job, we need the element of time, you know, like we need the who was it? I think one of my friends said, like photos are like a good wine. They need to, you have to let them sit for a while and they get better with age. And that's true. Like people are going to look back on memories that we shot for them in like 40 years and it's going to be invaluable. It's going to be one of the most important things that they're going to, like if their house were to be on fire, that's what they take. That's like the memories and the moments. So I think, yeah, it's definitely important what we're doing. It's like after you shoot a wedding and you send it to them a couple months after, it's impactful, but it becomes so much more impactful when time passes. I think
that's so true. You know, it's so true. Definitely. And obviously, yeah, I mean, obviously, I do really believe it's important what we do. It's just I get these things from time to time that I'm just not, I don't know, that I'm not doing enough. You know, there's so much sadness in the world, isn't there? And so much, I don't know. And then I'm like taking photos when it could be going out and working at soup kitchens and things. And, I don't know.
Do you ever feel like you want to do any volunteer work?
That's the thing. And that's the thing is what I would love to. And I give money regularly to charity, but then I feel like that's not, you know, that anybody can give money to charity. And, you know, I should be going out and physically be doing stuff, but then I don't as well. And so then I feel kind of guilty and that I'm not oh man, sorry, this is not about this episode is about you, not my issues.
I think it's interesting. I think it's something I think about a lot as well. But I think the most important thing we can do in our lives is do something that we genuinely like really, really love, you know, that's something that just feels right and it feels like your purpose. And then I think if you do it with that mindset and that passion and love that that you are, you know, you're basically shining bright and you are impacting people around you. And it might not always look that way, but you definitely are. I think anybody who does whatever they do with a lot of passion and love is making a difference.
That's very cool. I love that. And that's an awesome quote, Sophie. I should use that as honestly it is though. I think that's really lovely. Oh, cool. Okay, so cool. How did you get into this then? How did you become, you know, a photographer, a wedding and family photographer? What was your kind of journey into photography?
Yeah, I've been all over the place actually. I never really studied photography. I told you about my youth and how I always loved telling stories and I was always running around with a camera, but I just never thought it was something people could like actually live off of, you know, or like actually become. So I studied languages.
Oh, cool.
For some reason. I did that for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow. How many do you speak? Well, obviously, you speak English brilliantly. Do you speak other languages then?
So Dutch.
Yeah.
And I studied Spanish. And then, a little bit of French and German, but not.
Oh, wow.
Nothing great.
That's amazing, though. It is. I always have so much respect that you're doing an interview in a different language. I find it, honestly, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, but English is my mother tongue. My mom's Canadian, so that helps.
Okay. Well, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You go back. You carry on about
Oh yeah. I forgot what we were talking about. Yeah, the journey. So languages, and then I did a master's of journalism after that, so we had to film a lot of times. We had to make little reportages, and I really loved that. And then after that, I started working for a production company. And I was a videographer for about 5 years.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. And it was one of those places where they kind of like, they push you into the deep end all the time. Like I was always being pushed out of my comfort zone and having to make stories all over the place. Like it was one of those jobs where you're there's no balance. It's like you work day and night, you work super hard. You get pushed into stories. You have to go to the States for 2 weeks. You have to go there for 2 weeks. I just constantly had to like shape shift. It felt like. So I learned a lot there, and I also learned to become more independent. So I ended up traveling. We went and traveled for 9 months, and I came back, and I just realized I cannot work for a boss anymore. I want to be my own boss. So I became a freelancer, and I had a lot of work in video. So I was able to fill that first year. I think I did about 90% video and 10% photography, just like on the side, because I loved it, but I never thought, never going to be my main thing. And then after about a year, just organically, it kind of shifted into 90% photography and 10% video. And then the next year, all the video was gone. And I realized that I just was not having fun with that anymore. And photography was where my heart was. So yeah, the last 4 years have been all about photography.
Okay, cool. Did you start out, like, did you video weddings then as part of the videography work, or?
Yeah. I shot a couple of weddings by myself on video, and it's just it's such a huge hassle. You're always dragging along tripods and light and like what's it called, the stabilizers. You have so much gear, and that was the thing that really drew me into photography as well. Is just like, oh, just one camera, I'm free.
That's true, isn't it? It's rare when I work with a videographer, but they do always have so much more equipment. And I've never done any video work, but I imagine the editing afterwards must be so long as well. Did you enjoy the editing side, or?
Yeah, that was another thing. Like, you're working for about 3 days on a 3-minute video sometimes. It's so slow. It's so slow. That I was a bit sick of the video, and it's nice now to do it once in a while. Like I was doing that story on my brother. I was telling you about that. And I made a little slideshow with some video in there as well, some music, and it's fun to just do a montage like that once in a while. But I wouldn't want to be doing it every day anymore.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So how did you get your very first, when you started working for yourself then, how did you get your first wedding as a photographer? How did you get that gig?
I think my very first one was my sister-in-law.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that helps when they get married.
Yeah, it does help, doesn't it? It does.
Oh, but I didn't shoot it at all. Looking back on those images, it's just like cringe. But I guess everybody has that, right?
Oh yeah. Do you show on your website now? Do you show any images from your very first couple of weddings at all?
No.
Not me.
No way. I like to. It's nice to just look back on them once in a while, just to see okay, there's progress. I'm on the right track. There's an evolution. It's just beforehand, the first couple of weddings, you look on Pinterest and you look at what does wedding photography look like, and that's what you do, because you just so this is wedding photography. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my macro lens and I'm going to make a close up of the rings in a little bed of moss, and they're going to love it. Yeah, I'm glad I got away from that.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny, isn't it? That's funny. One of my favorite Reportage Awards of yours is one where there's 2 cars, and in each car there's a boy and a girl. I think in both cars, I think they're a boy and girl. There's couples of children anyway, and both are doing something interesting, and you're focused on the background pair. I love that. I love the composition. It's such an awesome shot. Can you tell us a bit more about that capture? Do you remember capturing it?
Yeah. I think that one's maybe 3 years old now, and I think it's one of my first ones that I sent in and actually won something. What can I say?
It's interesting. I can't imagine thinking about a shot from a few years ago and being put on the spot about it. I just find
Yeah.
it's it's just such a cool shot. I love the way like the kids in both cars are like doing something fun, and I love the focus on the back car. You know, I love that composition. Composition for me is something that I'm just so excited by. So
Really?
yeah.
Is that what draws you into to wanting to take a photo?
Oh, I think it's a big thing for me. Yeah, composition. Obviously, moment, you know, you talk about light composition and moment. A moment does trump it, but I'm just really excited by composition in general. I just find that such an amazing part of what we
Yeah.
do.
I find
Yeah.
it interesting because like if you talk to different people and people mostly either get drawn in by light or by composition and then they wait for the moment or whatever. But it's interesting how some people like Eve, for example, as well. Like I think he gets drawn in by composition, and so it's interesting that you say that you get drawn in by composition. For me, it's always light. It always starts with light.
Oh, really? Cool. That's interesting as well, though, isn't it? Yeah, that's really interesting. Have you always been like, is it all about the light and well, that's a big part for you, the light, or have you changed through your photography like career?
I think it's just the thing that draws me in. It's the first thing that you go towards, and then from there you make a composition and see if there's any moments there. Yeah.
That's cool. It's very cool. I love the way that we all see things differently. We're all like attracted to different things in photography. I love that. I think it's awesome. And you came to Doc Day this year. That's where we met. Actually, it was lovely meeting you there. But yeah, you came to Ireland by car from Belgium, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a little road trip. That was so much fun, and that was also right before lockdown. I think maybe 3 weeks before Corona really hit in Belgium, so it was like the last adventure before we were all stuck at home. So
and quite an adventure because there was quite a few of you in the car, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was me and four guys, all really close together in the car. Yeah, I loved it. It was a real adventure, and it ended up being a lot more expensive than just flying there. But for me, it was definitely worth the adventure.
Oh, that is cool. That's very cool. If you are you going to do that again? If you go to Doc Day again, are you going to drive again?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah.
Did you share all the driving between you though?
Yeah. I was able to borrow my mom's car. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, we just shared. Oh no, I think I drove most of the time because she didn't really trust anybody else.
I don't blame her. I don't. Because what was that? Was you, Eve, Philo? Was it? Is it Philo or Phil? How do you say his name properly?
Philip.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then so Eve, Simon, and Wouter Makelberg.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. You didn't all sleep in that car, did you? As well?
No, God, no. Oh, no. No, we slept in hostels along the way and Airbnbs. Yeah,
okay.
That was quite the experience, sleeping in a dorm room with all those guys, and all their
that must
good night farts.
Oh, great! Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, and it was ace meeting you there. It's such a good time. I can't. You know what? It feels like it was about 5 years ago now. It feels like a different lifetime, really.
I can't imagine like just partying with people and mingling and just standing so close to each other on the dance floor.
Yeah. I know. I so miss that, Sophie. I so miss that.
Me too. Really, I do.
Bizarre. Mental. Okay, let's change tack again though. Again, before I get too down about the whole world again. What does it mean to be successful to you? What does success mean to you?
Oof.
I know, a big one. It's a big one.
I think success for me means doing what feels authentic, and living a curious life. Following curiosity and exploring, a lot of exploring, and I don't know. It has nothing to do with the money. For me, it has nothing to do with status or money. Just means
That's
like
cool.
living whatever feels most real, like living in the way that feels most real, I think
that's great. Honestly, I think that's really great. I love that living. I've not really heard that before, but it makes sense to live a kind of curious life. I think that's a lovely way of putting it, actually.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things as photographers, like that drives us. Or I don't know about you, but for me, curiosity is my main driver. Just wanting to understand, other people's lives, what drives them, what are they going through. Like, I don't know, getting dropped into a situation. Like, we get dropped into situations all the time, like at a wedding or in a family, and just understanding the dynamic and understanding what people are all about, and the humanity of it all. And yeah, that's what drives me. What drives you?
No, 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 that's great. I think, and I totally, relate to that. I just never really thought about it like that, but it is so true. I mean, that was being a big driver for me for doing these podcasts. Really, is curiosity in other people and just their stories and what makes them tick. And I, I love that side of these more than the photography. To be honest, I mean, I like the photography is interesting, definitely, but I love hearing about you as a person, and so that's a big driver for me.
Yeah, I get that. I would love to be on your end of it, like asking questions and really getting to know someone. I think it's way more comfortable too, It's like when, it's like how we don't like being photographed as photographers. I don't know about you. I hate having my picture taken.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, or like doing an interview and talking about yourself. It's like I want to be the one asking the questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I'm lucky to be doing this, but I get nervous, for each one, which is so silly, I guess. But
nervous about?
What do I get nervous about?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. Like, I should ask myself that. It's like, I guess I feel I want, this is going to be it's like an hour. I want people to get to know you, the listeners. I want to do you justice of you giving up your time here. And I want you to have enjoyed it and feel like that, I've asked good questions, and that, it's pressure, I find, as well, which is silly though, as well, because it's just a relaxed chat. But, I don't know.
No, you're doing a great job. I mean, I understand that you're stressed about it, but I love what you've done with the podcast, and it's really to know the whole community and hear people's stories. So I think you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you, Sophie, and you're doing awesome on this episode with you. Honestly, I'm loving this. This is absolutely brilliant.
I'm probably never going to listen to this. Seriously.
Oh no, you've got to listen. Oh, it's funny. Cool.
It's important to get out of your comfort zone sometimes, and that's what made me say yes to your question about doing this. But I my main instinct was, fuck no, I'm not doing that. But I think it's important sometimes to just get out of your comfort zone and try new things.
It is really, that's so true. It would have been funny if you'd replied just saying, that F no. But yeah, I totally get that. And I think that's such a great way to live. It's kind of a brave way to live, but I think good things generally happen when you do go out of your comfort zone like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you always been like that? That tendency to push yourself,
Yeah. I always hate it. Like there's so much resistance, but breaking through that and actually then stepping out and realizing what's there and following curiosity there they're always the best experiences in life, So for example, last week I went on a 10-day walk by myself. I walked from Cap Griné to Cap Zand and then inland towards the restaurant where I grew up. Wow. So like 200 kilometers.
Wow, that is a long way.
Yeah, and it's just something the last couple of years I was always like, I want to do a photo project. I want to go out and do photo projects. Like I knew this, and there's always this thing stopping you. There's always like just reason. Oh, but yeah, what am I gonna make? It's not gonna be any good. What are they gonna say? Like, what's my husband gonna say? He's not gonna like that, But it's just all stuff like holding you back in your own mind, and it's not true. And just breaking through that, and then actually going out and doing it, feels like such a sense of freedom,
That's very cool. Yeah, that's inspirational as well. That is really cool to just go and do that. And what was the walk like itself? That's like 20 kilometers a day, was it?
Yeah. There were some days, the shorter days were only like 15 kilometers, and then other days were like almost 30 kilometers, but about 20 kilometers a day. Yeah, it was confronting. There's hard days, and then there's really, really uplifting days, and just, realizing that that's just the way life is. There's a bit of both, and just having to focus on putting one step in front of the other, and that's all you had to do is just keep the sea on your left and put one step in front of the other, and then just whatever hits home, you photograph, and you have conversations with people you meet along the way, and it's just like the world's just kind of open. It's just anything can happen, and I love that. I love going through life like that.
That's cool. I love that. It's a real romance in that as well. It's romantic. It is, though, to do something like that. It's it's really cool. I'm lucky because I live in Cornwall, which is the very southwest of England, and we've got lovely coastal kind of paths. So I should do something like that. It'd be cool.
Yeah. Especially now, there's not much you can do travel wise. You can't go very far, but you don't have to go far to run into interesting stories, I think.
That's true. Yeah. It must have been a lot of time to think as well, though. Is that a good thing? I don't know if I want time to think or not. I don't know if that's ever a good thing for me or not.
But that's where the walking helps. Like I noticed when I wasn't walking, I really started thinking. I got stuck in my own head, and you put on some music and there's a rhythm, and you're just like, I don't know. It feels different. It's not as heavy. Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool. You must have sore feet though now. You must be a bit knackered.
That also helps. The sore feet really help to get your mind off things.
Oh, right. Yeah. That
on your feet, you're just like, fuck, I just want to be there. Can I almost be there, please? Just waiting to soak your feet in a hot bath when you get to the hostel.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah. Oh, cool. Did you have nice weather for it? What's the weather like over there at the moment? I guess it's similar to UK climate, is it?
Very similar. I was lucky. I only had one really shitty rainy day, and it kind of coincided with I walked through Calais and Gravelines, and that's kind of like the most depressing part of France, I think. It must be. It was like all industry and gray skies. I mean, there were, I don't know, I passed lots of hunters, and I don't know, it was like this really weird, eerie vibe that I had for about 2 days, and it was gray weather, and that it's weird how that kind of like coincides with feeling a little bit more depressed, and then the next day the sun's out and you can see the sea again, and you're walking on the sand, and it's like do good.
Oh, cool. Oh, it sounds a great adventure though. That does. I know. So I'm going to go on to what is maybe a super hard question, maybe, but can you? I know, just land you in it some more. But can you think of a certain photo that you took that's had some kind of lasting impact, on you? Perhaps that impact has been on your career or your confidence or your direction, or just an image that you've taken that's particularly memorable to you for whatever reason.
The first one that comes to mind is the guys hanging from the garbage truck at the Hansefeesten that I took a few years ago. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's I did this little project on. Do you know the Hansefeesten?
I don't know. Sorry, no.
It's like this really iconic 10-day festival that we have in the summer in Ghent.
Okay.
And I did a little project so people party until 10, 11 in the morning every day for 10 days.
Oh, wow. In the good old days.
Yeah, in the good old days, yeah. And so I ended up going to like the main city center where people were still partying in the morning. And I would photograph from 8 till 10. So kind of where the city wakes up and people go to work and they're carrying their briefcase and they're all like busy in their, in their work mode. And then next to them, there's like this juxtaposition of these party people, really drunk, having fun, like just the contrast of those two groups of people, or
That
like
sounds cool to get. Yeah.
Old ladies going to the supermarket and then crossing this really drunk guy, or groups of people. Yeah. So anyway, so that was really, really fun to do. And there's one shot that I'm happy with. Of guys hanging on the back of a garbage truck, while the garbage people are cleaning up the trash on the square.
Oh,
and he's
cool!
Just like jumped on, and like we're hanging from it. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I always find it just interesting to hear what is a memorable image to you and to people. I think that's really cool. The one that instantly comes to your mind when you ask that question, I think, is normally, something that's really kind of impactful in some way. Are you happy? I can put that if people are listening, and if you're happy, me, Sophie, to put that in the post about this podcast episode, people can see that image if you're happy with that.
Yeah. Do you want me to send it to you?
Yes, that'd be cool if you want. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so if you're listening now, anyone, whilst running or sitting down or anything, do head to the site and you'll be able to see that image that Sophie's just spoken about there, which is cool. Sophie, what do you find the most challenging aspect of wedding or family photography to be?
The business side of things, having to besides being a photographer and capturing people's moments and really, really loving that, having to run a business.
That's so true, isn't it?
Well, and so social media and I guess.
Have you? I guess you wanted to get into this for the photography side. Do you not? Yeah, the business side. I understand. Do you know what? Though I quite like the business side. It's funny, isn't it? I quite like it.
What do you like about it? What aspect of it?
This is good. You should do these podcasts. You should do this. Do you know what I find? I always have done. So before being a photographer as well, doing other kind of like semi kind of internet-y business things or whatnot. I like the kind of I like the marketing side. I like getting customers or promoting things and getting it out there into the world. I like it as a challenge. I don't the money side, I'm so unmaterialistic. All I need is a roof above my head. But I like the challenge as well of kind of making money as well. I don't know. It's a funny thing. I quite enjoy it. Yeah. Do you not like it? You don't like it?
No. Is it because you like exploring new tools and things like, I don't know, blogging?
Yeah, I do enjoy that kind of thing. I don't say that I am creative or whatnot, but I hope that I like coming up with ideas and hopefully going through with them and seeing if they're successful or not. And obviously not everything is successful, but I find that exciting. I do find that exciting. But yeah, I think I enjoy the business side just as much as the photography side.
I think that's important. That's important that we have people like that, like you, who push the business forward. That's good. That's good.
Well, I'm lucky that I enjoy it. But so then do you not like kind of social media and SEO and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, no, I hate it. I hate it. Seriously, I'm not good at it.
How do you get your weddings or family bookings then? What kind of marketing works for you?
Well, I have gotten quite a bit of jobs from Instagram. Actually, if I just need to be a little bit more consistent, I really need to start putting things on Instagram more. But also, word of mouth is huge. Actually, the main thing, I think. Yeah. But I need to step up my social media game because there isn't a lot of word of mouth going on because there's not a lot of jobs right now. So yeah.
That's true as well.
It's gonna get me in trouble this time.
But I think in general, and some people say they're lucky to get word of mouth, but it isn't luck because word of mouth is because you're doing such a good job, which is the most important thing, really. So yeah, I think that's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's fun to get to know families and sometimes shoot 3 weddings within the same family. I really love that part. Coming back to certain groups of people and like being able to have conversations where you left off and them not kind of disappearing totally from your life. I really like that part of it.
That's very cool because then that's the mix. Then that's like wedding photography and also family photography because you're seeing the same extended family multiple times.
Yeah, and you're seeing them grow and evolve and new people and like they have babies and they It's
that's very cool. Mm-hmm. You should do a blog post with the 3 different weddings from the same family and their kind of like story over those years. I think that'd be quite interesting, actually. That'd be cool.
Yeah, except then I'd have photos from like my beginning days.
Oh, yes.
I'd include those in a blog post.
That's funny. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, as I say, I don't think I have any. Maybe from my first, I don't know, maybe 10 weddings or so. I don't know. I mean, it's not. It's good that we get better, though, isn't it? It's natural.
It is. It is. Yeah.
I like this question. Have you made any really memorable mistakes?
My memory is not very good, so like thinking back into the past is kind of hard. But I make mistakes all the time. I tend to break a lot of things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have really good insurance for that.
Have your premiums have gone through the roof with this break?
Like seriously, almost every wedding, some glass or chandelier or whatever. Like, yeah,
a chandelier that would be pretty bad.
I mean, that's pretty excessive. No, but. A lamp or a glass, or I'm saying sorry a lot at weddings. But I remember the last wedding, one of the last weddings. This is not super memorable, but it strikes me. It was an older couple that got married. I think they were like 40, 45, 50. And the best man was also older. But do you know when people are like a little bit older, it's hard to kind of tell how much older they are than you.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, you know, I get kind of chatty when you're nervous and you start saying stupid things. And I ended up saying to the best man, oh, so you must be the dad. Let me take your picture with your son. And they ended up being almost only like 5 years difference, and it was best friend, and I was like, oh fuck.
That's funny.
Things funny. Like that all the time.
Oh, that's a good one though. I like that. That's good. Oh, Sophie. Okay. Thank you so much for talking to me. We just got time for one more question.
Okay,
thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. So, okay. Oh, good. Okay, a small one to end on. But what, in your opinion, Sophie, makes a good wedding photographer?
I think empathy is like the main word that comes to mind. Being able to really place yourself in someone else's shoes and tell a story the way that you would want your story to be told, or you would want your family to be captured. Yeah, that's the main one, I think.
I think that's lovely. Yeah, totally. And I totally agree. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal, isn't it? Empathy.
Yeah.
It really is. Do you think it's something that you're kind of either born with or not? Or do you think you can train yourself to be more empathetic in you know, or I'm just interested in like your viewpoint on that, you know?
Oof, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Yeah.
I think some people have it more than others. I don't necessarily think it makes you a bad wedding photographer if you don't have it. I mean, and there's definitely other qualities that are super important. But I find it interesting because there's this fine line between humor and empathy, and I love humor and like little quirky moments in photography in general, in documentary photography. So like you're always trying to capture the weirdness and the little quirks, but then at the same time you want to be very empathetic, and it's always, I find like you're always trying to find a balance between the two. You don't ever want to make fun of people. You just want to like show them how much you appreciate their little mannerisms, you know?
That's so true. Yeah, that's something, again, I not really think about much, but that is true. You don't want to make fun of them, but yeah, highlighting what makes them unique, I guess, in a sympathetic way. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing where like the conversation ahead of time with the couple is really important. Like when you get to know each other, I'm always asking so many questions about what's your dad like? What's like a typical thing that your grandpa does? And tell me something specific and like quirky and unique about your family, because you want to be telling their specific story, and you don't want your photos to just be like interchangeable, like insert head, you know?
That's so true. Yeah, insert. That's so true. Oh, it's awesome, Sophie. Thank you so much. That time went so quickly. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. I didn't expect to enjoy it, but yeah, it was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for giving up your time, just being so open, and just that was so interesting. I've got loads from that. I'm sure people listening have as well. And if you are listening, do head to the site. This is reportage.com. I'll include link to Sophie's website and that image that she spoke about from that festival as well. And oh man, Sophie, yeah, thank you so much. And I hopefully I'll get to see you again in the flesh someday. Don't know when that'll be, but hopefully sometime.
Thank you, Alan, and I hope that you can get to shoot a wedding soon, and that you feel better about that.
No, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what. It was like a little therapy session for me. That was talking to you. You were great. You should do interviews. It was great. You're such a natural as well.
Oh, thanks.
Lovely. Honestly, thanks so much, Sophie. That was awesome. Yeah. And yeah, you keep safe, and hopefully I'll see you sometime.
You too. See you. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the 53rd episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Really loved chatting to Sophie. She should have her own podcast. She really should. Hope you enjoyed listening to her. Head to thisisreportage.com or thisisreportagefamily.com to see that festival image that Sophie spoke about on the episode, as well as a link through to her website too. We have lots more episodes of the podcast released with photographers such as Anna Hardy, Prashila Looker, Alison Bounce, Andrew Billington, Dominic Shaw of York Place Studios, and many more. If you're not yet a member of This Reportage or This Reportage family, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 individual award and 18 story award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts, hours of educational videos featuring tips and advice from some of the world's best photographers, and much more too. There's now under 2 weeks left for submissions to our final collections of 2020. The deadline is the same for our wedding site, This Is Reportage, and our family site, This Is Reportage Family. Submit by 23:59 GMT on 23rd of November 2020. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.